wish those women would disappear completely from my life." The dark line from Burt Lancaster's private diary, later revealed by his grandson Bill Lancaster, sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Beneath the spotlight's glamour, he had boldly listed the actresses he despised most, a truth completely at odds with the heroic image the public once adored. Among those names was a co-star who allegedly spread rumors that he had behaved improperly backstage, costing him a major role. Another was involved in a tangled love triangle that spiraled into jealousy and betrayal splashed across the press. Most shocking of all, Lancaster bitterly wrote that one actress had leaked to the media a rumor about his secret relationship with a famous male star, making him the target of harsh gossip in that era's Hollywood. So who were the names in that diary? And who truly caused Burt Lancaster the deepest pain in his glorious yet scandal-filled life? 1. Ava Gardner, the heated clash at a Hollywood party. Throughout Burt Lancaster's glittering career, his romances and scandals filled the tabloids. But one of the most infamous moments of his life didn't happen on a film set. It erupted at a lavish high-society gala in Beverly Hills. It was October 1957 when Variety hosted its 50th anniversary celebration. The event was dubbed a mini Oscars with every A-list star in attendance: Frank Sinatra, Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, Judy Garland, even Marilyn Monroe. Yet instead of toasts and laughter, the night turned into a public boxing ring, and the two fighters were Burt Lancaster and Ava Gardner. It began when the jazz band struck up "Fly Me to the Moon." Gardner appeared in a shimmering turquoise dress, radiant and defiant after her stormy breakup with Frank Sinatra. Lancaster, in a sharp black tuxedo, approached Sinatra's table to exchange pleasantries. It should have ended there, but the conversation soon turned political. The Cold War, America's foreign policy, and the racial tension boiling at home. According to a Los Angeles Times reporter present that night, Lancaster, known for his firm views, insisted that America needed to keep a strong hand abroad while avoiding talk about domestic racial issues. Gardner, fiery and outspoken, immediately shot back. Her voice cut through the music. "We can't speak of freedom when people of color are still being pushed out of diners in this country." The room fell silent for several seconds before whispers spread. Gardner, known for her temper, suddenly slammed her wine glass onto the table. Red wine splattered across the pristine white cloth. Lancaster stood up, face flushed, his tone sharp, as though in a debate hall rather than a ballroom. A photographer hiding in the corner later claimed Gardner even stepped forward, raising her hand as if ready to slap him. The air in the grand room turned heavy. The jazz band stopped mid-song, leaving an unbearable silence. Frank Sinatra rushed to pull Gardner away while Clark Gable stepped in to block Lancaster. The chaos stunned the crowd. Some guests left the room to gossip in the hallway. The next morning, The Hollywood Reporter fired the first media shot with the headline, "Gardner and Lancaster Turn Variety Gala into a Battlefield." The story spread rapidly, picked up by CBS and NBC Evening News. European papers like Daily Mail and Le Monde ran it too, calling it Hollywood's biggest explosion since Rita Hayworth's divorce scandal. The fallout for Lancaster was severe. He was no longer seen as merely fiery, but as rigid, domineering, even out of touch. In an Esquire interview in 1972, Lancaster still admitted bitterly, "Some people belong on the other side of the fence, and Ava Gardner is one of them." Ever since, whenever they appeared at the same event, photographers eagerly captured their glances, living proof of a feud that would never heal. The incident with Ava Gardner wasn't just an argument. It showed that Burt Lancaster had no hesitation turning a glittering party into a battlefield of politics and pride. Yet even in his later years, he couldn't escape confrontation. Just 2 decades later, Lancaster found himself in another clash this time with a young actress unafraid to challenge him right on set. 2. Susan Sarandon, the young star who dared to defy a legend. In 1980, Hollywood buzzed when director Louis Malle announced Atlantic City, a romantic crime drama filmed in Canada. The pairing alone sparked endless talk. Burt Lancaster, the 67-year-old legend of From Here to Eternity, and Susan Sarandon, a bold, rising star fresh from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. From the start, Toronto Star described it as a collision of generations, the living monument versus the young actress who bowed to no one. Tension erupted immediately. Lancaster, disciplined in the strict methods of the 1950s, demanded that every scene follow his exact rhythm. A lighting technician told The New Yorker, "I remember Burt placing his hand on Susan's shoulder and saying, 'You have to tilt this way.' She brushed his hand off, looked straight at him, and said clearly, 'I'll do it my way.'" The whole set went silent. The friction spilled into the media. In a March 1981 BBC interview, Sarandon said openly, "Burt Lancaster is a legend, but he controls too much. I believe audiences want truth from a character, not the dominance of an older generation." Her statement hit like a bomb. The Los Angeles Times ran the headline, "Sarandon stands up to legend Burt Lancaster," while Variety wrote Hollywood witnesses the moment a young star no longer bows to an icon. But the real wound came behind the scenes. Tabloid rumors soon claimed that Susan Sarandon had hinted about Lancaster's private life. A New York Post journalist alleged in June 1981 that Sarandon had joked to a crew member, "Burt has relationships he'll never admit to." That line quickly snowballed into gossip, suggesting Lancaster had a hidden romantic life. The Hollywood Reporter noted that his silence only fueled speculation. A costume team member told the magazine, "Some days they didn't speak beyond the script. When Burt entered a room, Susan walked out. People whispered that she held something over him, something he didn't dare confront." The rumors spread so far that a Los Angeles radio station even asked on air, "Is the great Burt Lancaster hiding a mystery?" Ironically, despite the tension, Atlantic City became a huge success. The film earned Sarandon her first Oscar nomination, and Lancaster, though still resentful, admitted in Esquire, "Sometimes conflict creates art, but it also showed me I'm no longer the center." After Atlantic City, Lancaster gradually stepped away from leading roles. His golden era faded, replaced by a new generation represented by Sarandon herself. But the bitterness didn't end there. Just a few years earlier, Lancaster had already endured public humiliation when he boldly approached a global beauty icon and was flatly rejected before all of Hollywood. 3. Elizabeth Taylor, the beauty icon who rejected Burt on the spot. In 1965, when director Vincente Minnelli began The Sandpiper, Hollywood buzzed with anticipation. Everyone knew this film would dominate the season, starring Elizabeth Taylor, newly married to Richard Burton. The pair were Hollywood royalty. Their every public appearance was headline news. At that time, Burt Lancaster, once considered the screen's ultimate leading man, entered the project with high ambitions. He not only wanted the male lead, but also saw the film as his chance to finally get close to Elizabeth Taylor, the one star he'd never conquered professionally or personally. A private meeting was held at the Beverly Hills Hotel that spring. Lancaster arrived in a sleek gray suit, confident to the point of arrogance. As Minnelli discussed the script, Lancaster leaned toward Taylor, whispering something softly. Witnesses said his gaze left no doubt about his intent. But Taylor, long accustomed to men treating her as a trophy, instantly stopped him. According to a leaked draft of journalist Hedda Hopper's memoir, Lancaster had hinted at an off-screen connection. Taylor sat upright, set her glass down, and replied firmly, each word striking like a slap. "I'm not a supporting role in anyone's life. I'm here for art, not to be another trophy in Burt Lancaster's collection." The room froze. Richard Burton, sitting a few tables away, smirked, lighting a cigarette as if unfazed by yet another flirtation aimed at his wife. Lancaster blushed, stepped back, and tried to hide his embarrassment. Ironically, Elizabeth Taylor was no stranger to scandal. Her life included 7 marriages, each ending in turmoil. Mike Todd died in a plane crash. Eddie Fisher left his wife for her, and Taylor herself was branded the homewrecker when she began her affair with Burton. She once told a court during a divorce hearing, "I'd rather lose a fortune than live with a liar." Lancaster knew all this, but he never expected to become another name in her storm. After that meeting, Taylor treated him as an outsider, and Lancaster carried the humiliation for years. At award galas, Taylor glowed on Burton's arm while Lancaster kept his distance. At an Oscar after-party in 1967, Burton reportedly quipped to him, "So the most powerful man in Hollywood can fail too." The remark spread like wildfire, deepening Lancaster's wounded pride. For a man used to admiration, Taylor's public rejection was more than an insult. It was a reminder that his power was fading. But the worst was yet to come. If Taylor was the humiliation behind closed doors, his ex-wife Joan Blondell turned his private life into an all-out public war, complete with tears, accusations, and courtroom battles that shook all of Hollywood. 4. Joan Blondell, the ex-wife who turned marriage into a battlefield. In the late 1940s, Burt Lancaster's career was soaring while Joan Blondell was already a seasoned Hollywood veteran. When they married in 1946 in New York, the industry saw it as a perfect match, the rising star and the established queen. But the glamour quickly vanished, replaced by cracks that could not be mended. At first, the tension stemmed from Lancaster's relentless schedule. He was always traveling, filming across Europe, while Blondell refused to be left behind. Fierce, proud, and experienced in love, she wasn't the type to live in anyone's shadow. Their arguments grew frequent, sometimes even in front of close friends. What truly broke Blondell wasn't the rumors of Lancaster's flings with women, but whispers that he had a secret connection with a famous male star, none other than Rock Hudson, Hollywood's tall, charming heartthrob of the time. The two had attended private parties together in Malibu, sparking quiet speculation. Blondell used that rumor like a weapon. In their private fights, she reportedly shouted, "You think I don't know? Everyone sees it. You think you can hide forever." Burt Lancaster, furious, denied everything, but his anger only convinced her she'd struck a nerve. Their marriage turned from love into war. Blondell sought to expose him, while Lancaster alternated between silence and rage. In April 1951, Joan made her move, filing for divorce in Los Angeles. It wasn't a quiet separation. She not only demanded property, but also launched accusations meant to destroy his reputation. She hired lawyers, brought in witnesses, even called former co-workers to testify that Lancaster lived a double life. Court sessions became public battlegrounds. Lancaster countered by accusing Joan of extravagance and of being seen with other men at nightclubs. She hit back, claiming he was unfaithful and had relationships beyond conventional bounds with male co-stars. Neither hesitated to tear the other down in front of packed courtrooms. Outside court, the chaos continued. Joan hired private investigators, showed up unannounced on sets, and reportedly waited outside studios just to hurl insults as Lancaster drove away. He chose to walk off, but the humiliation deepened his bitterness. After months of conflict, Lancaster gave in. He agreed to give up most of his assets, their Beverly Hills mansion, and his film company shares in exchange for peace. But though divorced, the scars lingered. To Lancaster, Joan Blondell wasn't just an ex-wife. She was the woman who had turned his private life into a battlefield, exposing the shadows he wanted buried. For Joan, it was a final victory, proof she couldn't be trampled. But for Lancaster, it was a lifelong sentence. In a late interview, he sighed and said, "Some mistakes make you pay forever." For me, Joan was that mistake. The wreckage of that marriage left Burt Lancaster's personal life in ruins, his name and fortune dissected mercilessly. Yet just when he thought nothing could wound him further, fate brought one more heartbreak from a proud Italian goddess who publicly rejected his affection amid the splendor of Europe. 5. Sophia Loren, the Italian goddess who dared to refuse Burt Lancaster. In 1961, the whole of Madrid seemed to explode when the film crew for El Cid arrived in Spain. This was an epic blockbuster that European press called the biggest film of the decade, featuring two major names: Burt Lancaster, the man Hollywood hailed as a symbol of power, and Sophia Loren, the Italian goddess, who was driving all of Europe wild. Everyone believed this combination would be a perfect synergy, but the behind-the-scenes reality was a tense tragedy. According to an article in La Stampa that September, Burt Lancaster appeared daily at the Ritz Madrid hotel where Loren and her team were staying. He didn't just bring vibrant bouquets of red roses, he even hired a flamenco band to stand beneath her balcony throughout the afternoon, serenading Loren. A waiter at the Ritz later recounted on the RA Story program that Lancaster would often sit alone for hours in the corridor staring up the stairs, muttering, "Sophia will have to agree. She can't keep refusing." As days passed, Lancaster's persistent attempts to approach Loren increasingly embarrassed the crew. On one occasion, according to a production assistant's private diary, Lancaster even knocked on Loren's door late at midnight, using the script as an excuse. Loren did not open the door, and the next morning she recounted in the makeup room, "I saw him standing outside in the corridor, not moving for an entire hour. It truly gave me the chills." This news quickly leaked out, becoming a sensational topic in the Madrid tabloids. Not stopping there, Burt Lancaster consistently appeared at every party Sophia attended. A reporter from El País noted that at one reception, Lancaster always tried to wedge himself next to Loren, telling frivolous stories just to capture her attention. But Sophia would coldly turn away, only offering a polite social smile in response. The climax came at a dinner party at the Palacio de Cibeles, where Loren spoke frankly to a friend, and the story quickly reached the reporters. "I came here to make a film, not to be a conquest in Burt Lancaster's collection." That refusal spread at lightning speed. Variety called it the most public humiliation of Lancaster's career. The Hollywood Reporter emphasized that Sophia Loren did what no Hollywood woman dared to do: flatly reject one of the most powerful men in the world. American television constantly broadcast the story, turning Lancaster from an invincible icon into a defeated figure in the public eye. Consequently, the atmosphere on the El Cid set became thick with discomfort. Director Anthony Mann often had to stop takes because as soon as Lancaster and Loren made eye contact, they would immediately turn in opposite directions. A Los Angeles Times reporter described the film's backdrop with a haunting phrase: "It was the harshest winter right in the middle of the Spanish summer." For Lancaster, a man famously arrogant, Loren's coldness was nothing short of a fatal stab to his pride. He was accustomed to adoration and reverence, but Sophia Loren was the exception, the woman who dared to say no, even when the whole world thought she should smile. From then on, Burt Lancaster no longer saw Sophia Loren as a colleague, but as the Italian goddess who had publicly shamed him before all of Hollywood. This scandal not only cost him a friendly co-star, but also left a psychological scar that made Lancaster guarded, difficult, and defensive in his later relationships. Yet the shock named Sophia Loren wasn't the end. Before the audience could forget the icy gaze Loren gave Lancaster in Madrid, he immediately stepped into another confrontation. This time, it wasn't silent coldness, but a legendary kiss on a Hawaiian beach that turned into a nightmare astonishing all of Hollywood. 6. Deborah Kerr, The Kiss of a Lifetime, that became a nightmare. In 1953, New York erupted when From Here to Eternity premiered at the Criterion Theater. Audiences lined up for blocks just to see what was predicted to be a film that would change American cinema. As expected, the movie instantly became a phenomenon. But what caused a global sensation was the scene of Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr embracing amidst the surging waves on a Hawaiian beach. Time magazine even ran a cover headline, "The Kiss That Changed Cinema." But behind that immortal romantic kiss was a nightmare for the people involved. According to a report by journalist Richard Merriman in Life magazine, Deborah Kerr frequently complained that Lancaster behaved like a general. He imposed every detail from how she should place her hands to how she should lower her head. At a Beverly Hills party in February 1954, Kerr confided to friends, "He's charismatic in front of the camera, but off camera he just likes to give orders. I've never met anyone so domineering." The conflict escalated to its peak while filming the Waikiki beach scene. Kerr later recounted that Lancaster took advantage of the intimate scenes to excessively touch her. Some crew witnesses even whispered that she felt forced into unwanted intimacy. This rumor quickly leaked, and Hollywood began to buzz that Deborah Kerr had subtly accused Lancaster of on-set harassment. Director Fred Zinnemann was forced to intervene by taking them both aside for a private conversation by the sea. But just minutes later, the sound of their argument echoed across the sand. An assistant director noted in a report sent to Columbia Pictures, "Just a small spark, and the whole set will explode." When the film became a massive hit and won 8 Academy Awards in March 1954, the public expected Lancaster and Kerr to walk the red carpet together as a perfect on-screen couple. The reality was the complete opposite. Deborah Kerr took photos with Montgomery Clift and director Fred Zinnemann, while Lancaster appeared in a different group maintaining absolute distance. The Los Angeles Times quipped, "The screen's most passionate couple, but not in the same frame in real life." Years later, in a BBC special program in the 70s, when asked about the immortal kiss scene, Deborah Kerr only offered a knowing smile. On screen it was wonderful, but in real life, that was a time I never want to remember. That veiled statement only further convinced the public that behind the legendary kiss was a scandal that was never explicitly written down. This bitter truth left a paradox. What the audience saw as the most beautiful moment was the darkest memory for those involved. Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr created an eternal film scene, but they also etched their names into one of the most strained relationships in Hollywood history. And before the public could recover from the shock of Sophia Loren's cold refusal and reel from the nightmare kiss with Deborah Kerr, another scandal erupted. This time, it wasn't a rumor, but a fleeting, bitter affair with Rita Hayworth, Hollywood's goddess of glamour, who turned Lancaster from a lover into an enemy in the blink of an eye. 7. Rita Hayworth, the goddess of glamour who turned a lover into an enemy. Mention Rita Hayworth and audiences of Hollywood's golden age immediately recall the image of the goddess of glamour with fiery red hair in 1946's Gilda. She once captivated millions of men from aviation magnate Howard Hughes to Prince Ali Khan. But few would have guessed that Burt Lancaster was also among Rita's list of admirers. The tragedy was that their relationship quickly turned from sweet lovers to bitter enemies, even dragging them both into noisy financial lawsuits. According to the notorious columnist Luella Parsons of the Los Angeles Examiner in the summer of 1952, Lancaster and Hayworth were spotted leaving a lavish party at the Beverly Hills Hotel. The grainy photos of them together immediately appeared on the front page with the headline, "Hollywood's New Power Couple." At the time, Lancaster was basking in the success of The Crimson Pirate, and Hayworth was gaining attention for Affair in Trinidad. Both were at their peak, and this romance rumor was nothing short of a media bomb. Initially, Lancaster appeared madly infatuated. He frequently appeared at Rita's villa on North Doheny Drive, bringing Dom Perignon champagne and gigantic bouquets of red roses. A paparazzo for Photoplay magazine even captured the moment Lancaster kissed Hayworth's hand right outside her house, and that photo made the cover, causing a stir for weeks. But then the dark side began to emerge. Rita Hayworth was famously temperamental. Some days she was gentle like a muse, but others she would erupt in anger to the point where the entire film crew held their breath. A lighting technician for Columbia Studios recounted on the Inside Hollywood program. One day, Burt waited 3 hours on set, but Rita didn't show. When she finally appeared, she casually said she'd been at the spa. Burt was furious, red-faced, but couldn't do anything. The conflict exploded in late 1952 when both attended a script reading for a joint film project financed by Columbia. According to production notes still in the archives, Lancaster had only read a few pages before throwing the script onto the table, standing up and yelling, "I'm not wasting another minute on her." The very next day, The Hollywood Reporter broke the sensational news. Lancaster withdraws from Project Hayworth on the brink of losing the role. But it didn't end there. Hayworth, who had shares in a small film production company, accused Lancaster of contract interference, causing her company hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages. The matter quickly dragged both into litigation. According to Los Angeles court records from 1953, Hayworth demanded compensation from Lancaster for affecting production progress. Although the lawsuit eventually fizzled out, the press exploited it thoroughly, drowning both their images in scandal. Variety even commented acidly, "From magazine cover lovers to courtroom adversaries." From then on, Lancaster regarded Rita as a nightmare. In a 1971 interview with Esquire, he stated plainly, "There are nightmares you have to learn to leave behind, and for me, Rita was that." The cold response was shocking, as it showed Lancaster no longer viewed Hayworth as a co-star or a lover, but merely a stain he never wanted to recall. The rapid collapse of this relationship caused a sensation in Hollywood. Life magazine called it the shortest A-list romance, while the tabloids relentlessly exploited the emotional and financial failure. Rita continued to sink into a string of tumultuous personal life issues, while Lancaster quickly turned to another star, the woman who brought him another storm of scandal. 8. Lana Turner. The screen queen and the notorious love triangle. In the mid-50s, Lana Turner still reigned supreme in Hollywood. She was MGM's screen queen, constantly appearing on the covers of prestigious magazines like Life and Look. Her flowing blonde hair, vibrant red lips, and seductive gaze made Lana an iconic sex symbol that millions of viewers adored. And then, amidst this glamour, Burt Lancaster, the man celebrated as America's screen hero, unexpectedly entered her life, opening a fleeting but most scandalous affair in Hollywood. Everything began in June 1956. Paparazzi trailing Turner captured the moment she and Lancaster entered Cairo's the most extravagant nightclub on the Sunset Strip, once dubbed the Temple of the Stars. In the dim light, The two stars sat side by side, clinking martini glasses, chatting intimately. The photo instantly dominated the front page of the New York Daily News the next morning with a dazzling headline, "Turner and Lancaster, Tinseltown's new golden couple." The news spread like wildfire, and overnight, Hollywood buzzed with speculation that Burt Lancaster had finally found his matching queen. But the behind-the-scenes reality was much darker. At the time, Lana Turner was famous not only for her beauty, but also for her complicated relationship with Johnny Stompanato, a notorious man with ties to the Los Angeles Mafia. Lancaster's appearance next to Turner effectively made him the third party in a dangerous love triangle. A close friend of Lancaster told reporter Hedda Hopper, "Burt said he felt like he was being used as a pawn in a cheap PR stunt. He bitterly hated the flashbulbs and the silly rumors surrounding them." The storm truly broke a few weeks later at an exclusive Beverly Hills party. Major stars like Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland were present. Amidst the lively atmosphere, Turner and Stompanato suddenly had a fierce argument. During the commotion, several guests heard Stompanato yell, "Are you seeing Lancaster? The whole city is laughing at me!" With just one sentence, the entire room fell silent, and Lancaster's name was immediately pulled into the center of a scandal he completely wished to avoid. The press instantly sensationalized the incident. The Los Angeles Times ran a satirical editorial, "From film superstar to leading man in a romantic mess." The tabloids fabricated all sorts of scenarios, from a Lancaster-Turner-Stompanato love triangle to the theory that Burt was being threatened by the mafia. One reporter even insisted that one evening Lancaster had to leave the Macombo nightclub just because he saw Stompanato walk in with a group of bodyguards. The media frenzy genuinely enraged Burt Lancaster. He immediately canceled all events where Turner was on the guest list. Another time, he even left an awards ceremony just because he heard Lana was also appearing. According to a close associate, Lancaster bitterly exclaimed, "I once thought she was the screen queen, but it turns out Lana is just a media nightmare." After that shock, they completely cut off contact. No more laughter in nightclubs, no more side-by-side glances on the red carpet. Lana Turner continued to cycle through scandalous love affairs, while Lancaster became more cautious than ever, wary of all relationships. If Rita Hayworth was a bitter mistake in love, Lana Turner was a costly lesson for Lancaster in how the media could turn a legend into a laughingstock overnight. But the storm in his personal life didn't stop there. Only a short while later, he was embroiled in another fiery public confrontation right in the middle of a high-society Beverly Hills party. And this time, the opponent was none other than Ava Gardner, the fiery actress who stunned all of Hollywood by daring to turn a lavish dinner party into a veritable wrestling arena. Over half a century has passed, and Burt Lancaster is still remembered as one of Hollywood's greatest actors. Yet behind the dazzling lights, his life was shrouded in emotional scars, feuds, and haunting rumors. Each name in the diary was like a knife etched into his memory, leaving the image of a Lancaster who was both magnificent and deeply wounded. Perhaps that is the eternal tragedy of film legends, celebrated by the world but broken in their own private lives. And you, which of those actresses do you think truly left the deepest wound on Burt Lancaster? Leave your comments below to discuss. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other sensational stories from behind the scenes of Hollywood. See you in the next videos.